Well, ladies and gentlemen, as a fan of Square Enix and a fan of JRPGs and a fan of Final Fantasy and all the content that Square Enix usually comes out with, unfortunately, I have to report the bad news regarding Square Enix because they've made some really stupid decisions recently that we have to talk about. And some of it does have to do absolutely with woke nonsense. They thought that they had to make games that were for the Western audience gaze. That's really what they did with Forspoken, and it goes to show that they fucked up real bad.
You blew it, boy! You really blew it!
So we have an article here from Bounding Into Comics with a headline that reads, Square Enix cancels multiple console games, suffers multi-million-dollar loss as part of a plan to be more selective and focused in the allocation of developmental resources. Now, again, this company just simply, I gotta be honest with you guys, they really haven't been giving the fans what they wanted, right? Like, aside from Final Fantasy VII Remake, right, or Rebirth or whatever, even that, right? Those games are fantastic, but you're still relying on those games over 9 years of development cycle, right? Like Final Fantasy VII Remake came out 4 years ago. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth just came out. Now you're gonna have the third installment another 3 or 4 years down the line. That's a long investment for just 3 games. What else are you doing with your time, right? Forspoken was a massive flop. Marvel's Avengers, massive flop. I mean, it is insane how much money they lost on just those 2 games alone. All the money that they made on Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, I am almost guaranteeing it did not make up for the loss on those 2 games, not even talking about the fact that the development cycle for those 2 games that we're talking about now. So let's get into this article, guys, from Bounding Into Comics. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. It says, did Sephiroth do this? Following an extended period of poor business decisions, struggling sales, and a lack of Kingdom Hearts releases, okay, the last one's a joke, Square Enix has announced that in an effort to rid their sinking ship, they will be both canceling a number of in-development titles and working to be more selective and focused with their resources in the future. Now, honestly, they should have been doing that from the start, okay? And that's just good business, right? Like, when they made Forspoken, honestly, I don't know what their plan was, really. When you look at it, it kind of looks like it's all over the place. I don't know what the game is trying to be, right? But still, it had a decent premise, right? But I think that they focus too much on nonsense with that game. And not only that, of course, you have the DEI aspect where you have consultancy firms trying to tell Square Enix how to make a true representative black female, and they made her fucking insufferable. So that's the hilarious thing about all this, right? You had a consultancy group try to tell you how to make a black female lead character, and they ended up making a character that nobody could connect with, right? You guys were so much better just doing it on your own. I don't know why you decided to hire a consultancy firm when you don't need one. You guys have made some of the best black characters in JRPGs, and now all of a sudden you're not good enough to do it. Why? Who convinced you of that? Who told you that was the truth? They clearly lied to you, and you need to go back to doing it on your own and writing your own stories, because what these DEI consultancy groups think of as stories does not mesh with the overall JRPG mindset that Square Enix has when it comes to their stories. It doesn't mesh. It doesn't work well. We've seen that time and time again. It says the Final Fantasy developer unveiled that their forward-looking game dev plans by way of an official notice of recognition of extraordinary losses filed with the Tokyo Stock Exchange on April 30th. They're hurting, man. Square Enix is hurting. I don't know if you guys realize that, but Square Enix is genuinely really hurting. It says therein, Square Enix revealed that in the light of myriad changes underway in the environment surrounding its group, the company's board of directors had voted to revise the group's approach to the development of high-definition HD games, i.e. console games, with the intention of being more selective and focus in the allocation of developmental resources. To this end, the studio further noted that as a result of a close examination of the group's developmental pipeline undertaken in keeping with this revised approach, the company expects to recognize approximately 22.1 billion yen, which is approximately 140 million US dollars, in content abandonment, i.e. game cancellation, losses on its books for the fiscal year ended of March 2024. Oh my God. 140 million freaking dollars from a company that just canceled a bunch of games equivalent to that number. That is insane, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know This is a massive get woke go broken. And like I said, this is not just because the company got woke. Let's be real. The company, this company has been doing such god awful things. It frustrates me because, like I said, I am a huge Square Enix fan. Even all the way back when Squaresoft, like, I'm telling you, man, it hurts me to talk about Square Enix like this in the same essence that it hurts me to shit on Blizzard. But at the end of the day, these companies have made their bed and they have to lie in it. Final Fantasy Rebirth was a great game. Absolutely fucked the story, the original story, but overall the gameplay, everything was good. I will definitely give it that. But what they're doing is they're completely focusing simply on just like trying to make money with the Final Fantasy series. They're doing it with Rebirth. They tried to do it with 16. They did it with Remake. They're doing it with Final Fantasy 14. It is just not working, right? You have to have something else to supplement. Like Square Enix would put out banger after banger, right? And now they don't really have that these days. And of course, you guys already know they took too damn long to come out with Kingdom Hearts 3 that they probably lost half the fucking fans that either died from old age or they gave up on waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3. So people need to realize that Square Enix is definitely hurting. Unfortunately for curious fans, as of writing, Square Enix has not yet provided any details as to which specific titles were axed during this restructuring. However, an educated guess suggests that these cancellations are unlikely to have included either the third entry in the Final Fantasy VII Remake series or Kingdom Hearts 4, as not only both titles are extremely far along in their respective development processes, but it would also be a reputational suicide for the company to trash such a pair of highly anticipated titles. Now, yeah, I would agree with that. Final Fantasy Remake in general, like all three, they're going to finish it. They're going to finish the series. Can you imagine if they milked you guys for 6 to 7 years and then right when they got to the third one, they canceled it and you never got the end? Holy shit, the backlash. You guys think Stellar Blade is getting backlash right now? Gamers would have an absolute crucified meltdown over Square Enix doing that. So they're not going to do that, right? Same thing with Kingdom Hearts 4. Kingdom Hearts 4, yeah, that's not happening either. They're not going to cancel that game because they are just way too reliant on those IPs right now. They need to stop whatever bullshit that they're trying to develop that's for Western audiences. Get that notion out of your mind and start focusing on what made you good in the first place. You know what I mean? Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy. Why do people love those games? They don't love those games because it's for the Western gays. They never love those games because it's for the Western gays. They love those games because it was anything but the Western gays. That's why they love them, and you got to get back to that. As noted above, while Square Enix's announcement is admittedly eyebrows raising, it ultimately comes as no surprise given the company's recent financial stumbles. Per the company's previously reported Q2 2023 financial results, thanks to the underperformance of such titles as Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, Octopath Traveler 2, and Forspoken, the first two failing to make a splash due to being rather niche titles, and the last to being an outright abysmal experience, Square Enix suffered a drop in profits to the tune of roughly 20 million yen. Further, though not abject failures, both of their most recent Final Fantasy entries, 16 and Rebirth, have reportedly posted middling sales numbers, with the former posting just 3 million sales in its first month in stores, and the latter having its performance withheld from the public altogether. Now, I liked Final Fantasy 16. I thought it was a great game. Unfortunately for 16, it is a very, very slow burn, and a lot of people who are new to the series can't handle that or are new to Final Fantasy in general. I loved it. I thought it was a great game. Simple, effective story, back to the basics, and I think it's a good building ground for Final Fantasy 17 whenever they decide to want to come out with that. But definitely was good without a doubt. In terms of Crisis Core was if you play the PSP version, there was no reason for you to play the PS5 version. It was just graphically the same exact thing. The game was fun. Don't get me wrong. I have it. I enjoyed it, but I don't really think it's going to be a banger that's going to get Square Enix a ton of money. Octopath Traveler 2, that's a very niche game, but let me be real with you. Octopath Traveler is a good fucking game. I enjoy that game a lot, and I highly recommend it if you want a good RPG, like a good JRPG. So overall, I think we are definitely in big trouble for Square Enix, and I think they're going to probably start nuking a ton more titles after this, and they're going to start coming out with maybe 1 or 2 games, or maybe go the publishing route and try to get money from that. Who really knows? But it definitely is not looking good for Square Enix, and this is what you kind of get when you waste money on bullshit, right? Like if you had all this money to waste on DEI, you clearly didn't, because now you're suffering big time. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.